Does it feel like time is going by faster? For me, it feels like my 20s went by in the blink of an eye, and suddenly I looked in the mirror, I had wrinkles, maddeningly dark circles under my eyes, and I was in my early 30s. Sure, in my 20s I had plenty of experiences that I remember, but it still feels like life is just going by quicker every single year. Each year around my birthday or New Year's, I think, this is the year I'm going to slow down. I'm going to remember this more and really soak it in. And then a year goes by and I'm in the exact same situation. So is this just life? Are we doomed to life just going by faster every single year? Well, the answer is maybe. There are certain factors we can't control, but there are some we can. So in this video, I want to explain why time speeds up as we age and what we can do to slow it back down and stretch out our experience of life. Hey guys, my name is Pete. I am a writer and social studies teacher, and on this channel, I talk about how we can live a slow and strenuous lifestyle in our fast-paced world of convenience. When I started looking into this issue, I found that there are four main reasons why time appears to speed up as we get older. The first reason comes down to busy, distracted routines. Our brain loves novelty. When we are in a novel situation, it is a trigger to say, hey, we need to pay attention to what's going on because it's new and we want to make sure we manage it well or that we survive. But as we get into routines, our brain can accurately predict what we should do next while being on autopilot. Think about it, our brain uses so much energy. It uses a significant amount of the calories we eat each day. So if it can conserve that energy, it's going to. So when we get into a routine, we kind of know what to expect. We know what's going to happen. We don't need to pay as much attention to it. This leads to us being a little more distracted or disinterested with our daily life, and therefore we kind of pay less attention to it. When we don't have enough novelty in our life and we are in just like the rut of a daily routine, our brain simply pays less attention, which means less things are getting encoded, and yeah, time appears to speed up. And this all has to relate to reason number 2 for why time speeds up, which is what I call the frantic flashlight. So in her book Peak Mind, Dr. Amishi Jha talks about the mind as being kind of like a flashlight. We can't focus on a million things at once. We really can only pay attention to and focus deeply on one thing at a time. So whether it's a book we're reading or a video we're watching or a conversation we're having, our flashlight needs to be focused on that, and we need to pay attention for us to feel like we're in the moment and that we're encoding these experiences into our memory banks. The problem is today's world is fueled by distraction. I hate the term attention economy. It makes me want to puke inside. And it's basically when these tech companies try to exploit our attention for their own profit. So now instead of focusing on one thing at a time, like cooking a meal or gardening, we're pressed to scroll and watch a bunch of advertisements on TV and see a bunch of different news stories all at once, and everything is bright colors and flashing. And so in our minds, as we're scrolling on our phones or online or we're watching TV, our brain is kind of doing this, like a flashlight, right? It's going all over the place, not really focusing on any one thing. And I don't know about you, but it's kind of hard to remember much if we're just doing this all the time, right? It's like taking 10 steps in 10 different directions. You're not actually getting anywhere. When we are constantly distracted, our flashlight is moving around frantically, and that can make time feel like it's speeding up because we're doing so many things without really doing anything. The third reason that time seems to speed up as we age has to do with our brain infrastructure. Dr. Adrian Bajan found that our brain infrastructure heavily influences our perception of time passing. So when we have a sensory experience, it takes time for our brain to process that experience and encode it. So naturally, the faster our brain can encode experiences, the more experiences it perceives and is filled with. Therefore, time and life just seems like deeper and denser and more rich. When we are young, our brain infrastructure is more simple because it's still developing. And so it takes less time to process these experiences. As we age, though, that infrastructure becomes more complex. And even though it's milliseconds, it takes slightly longer to process each thing we experience. Couple that over thousands of experiences and all those milliseconds, it kind of adds up to the point where time seems to go faster. It's pretty simple. If an experience wants to go from point A, the experience, to point B, the encoding of that experience, if it's just a straight line, it's very simple. We're going to be able to do that more quickly and have more of those experiences. But as we age, it's kind of more like this. It doesn't take much longer, but that added bit of complexity makes it take just long enough to make it feel like we're experiencing less each day, and thus time tends to speed up. By the way, I have zero experience or talent with like video graphics, so like this is my high-tech way of explaining that. This to me is kind of depressing because yeah, as we age, time is naturally going to go faster. It's biology, it's the way our brain works, but it doesn't mean that there aren't ways to combat that. The fourth reason time speeds up as we age is cultural, and it's our culture's obsession with productivity. In his book, 4,000 Weeks, Oliver Burkeman discusses how from a young age, we are taught that our worth in life in our capitalist society is based on how much we produce. And so this creates this inherent insecurity. Not in everyone, but for me, I definitely feel that, and you may too, that we need to produce, we need to do things, we need to be useful in order to have any worth in society. Even if we don't say that out loud, that can be like this subconscious feeling. And what this can lead to, not always, but it can, is if we feel this underlying anxiety or urge to produce, we can be distracted by trying to produce or consume more. Instead of just sitting on the couch and looking at the window and watching the sunrise and appreciating the moment, we may feel, oh, I gotta do this project around the house. Oh, I gotta do this thing for work. Oh, maybe I should buy this thing. Oh, this ad told me this. Are my teeth white enough, right? Like all these things are circling. What can we produce and what can we consume to be a good little person in our society? But with all those things churning, what that does is it shoots our flashlight everywhere, and it keeps us from being focused on the present moment, and it makes us distracted. So those are the four main reasons I have found for why time speeds up as we get older. So what is the solution? How can we manage this? Well, we can't simplify our brain infrastructure, and we still need to produce and consume in our society. That's just the way things are. But what we can do is to do less intentionally in a way that demands complete focus and presence in the activity. This is a fancy way of saying slow the heck down and immerse ourselves in whatever we're doing. If a frantic flashlight leads to distraction and time passing quicker, we need to focus that flashlight. And if routine can lead us to being distracted, then we need to insert novelty into our life. And if this obsession with being productive or consuming keeps us distracted, well, then maybe we can find a way to be content with producing and consuming less, but more intentionally. So what this does is if we focus on one thing at a time and immerse ourselves in it, we get the focus, we get sustainable production or consumption, and we get novelty. All of these things can help time slow down. This is the difference between making pizza from scratch with a recipe you gotta follow and really focus on versus ordering delivery while scrolling on a phone. It's the difference between scrolling incessantly, getting bombarded with media, and sitting down and steeping in a book and focusing on one idea for a long period of time. The reality is, if we live more slowly, more intentionally, time then slows down. It becomes richer, it becomes denser, it becomes deeper. And instead of frantically running around trying to see and do and consume everything we possibly can, we become content with just focusing on less things, but doing them more deeply. And that is what slows time down. I know this from experience. During my slow and strenuous year last year, I did plenty of things like cooking from scratch or taking a slow walk every day or turning my morning routine into just watching the sunrise that really slowed time down. And because of that, 2024 was the longest year of my life. I noticed the seasons passing. I noticed myself changing. And it's because I put novelty in, I did less, and the activities that I did choose to do required full focus and attention. So it's not just the science that goes behind that, it's my personal experience as well. So guys, to sum up, if you want to slow down time, one possible way to do that is to do novel, intentional experiences that demand complete focus and attention. So whether it's playing your instrument or going on a hike or cooking a meal, find that thing that works for you and immerse yourself in it. And who knows, time might slow down. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about how to live a slow and strenuous lifestyle, consider subscribing to my channel. If you want to know when my book, Slow and Strenuous, is released, I have an email newsletter. You can opt in to that in the description below. And as a thank you, I will share with you the draft introduction to my book so you can read those first few pages before it gets released. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention. Let's go live slowly. Have a great day.